For centuries, travelers returned from Tibet carrying extraordinary stories. Stories of monks who could survive impossible cold, yogis who could slow their breathing, mystics who could travel enormous distances without exhaustion, and occasionally stories of men who became so light they seemed to rise from the earth. Levitate. Levitation. The word immediately forces us into a choice. Either gravity was somehow defeated, or the story was exaggerated. But what if both explanations miss the point? What if the monk never left the ground? Western travelers entering Tibet during the 19th and early 20th century encountered traditions almost completely foreign to the European consciousness. One of the strangest involved practitioners, sometimes associated with a discipline called lung-gom. Through years of training, breath, rhythm, mantra, concentration, and repetitive movement, the practitioner appeared capable of traveling with extraordinary endurance. Some accounts describe them moving almost mechanically, their gaze fixed, their breathing synchronized, their awareness apparently somewhere between waking consciousness and a trance. And then the stories became stranger. Some said these practitioners became incredibly light. Others claimed advanced adepts needed weighted clothing or chains because their bodies might otherwise rise from the ground. To modern ears, there are only two possibilities: miracle or myth. But there may be a third: visual. Perhaps the word levitation wasn't originally describing what happens to the body. Perhaps it was describing what happened to consciousness. Every waking moment, your brain performs an extraordinary calculation. Where am I? Which way is up? Where is the ground? How heavy is my body? Where are my arms? How quickly am I moving? We rarely notice this calculation because it happens continuously. Gravity becomes part of our identity, not intellectually, but experientially. You don't wake up every morning and think, gravity is currently pulling me toward the center of the earth. You simply feel heavy, grounded, located, contained. But the feeling is of being a body in space is not gravity itself. It is your nervous system's representation of your body within gravity. And representations can change. Every night, something remarkable happens. You lie horizontally in a bed. Your physical body remains there, yet suddenly you are somewhere else. Walking, running, falling, flying. Your dream body may climb a staircase that doesn't exist. Stand inside a building that isn't there. Or rise effortlessly into the sky. And while you're dreaming, you may not question any of it, because consciousness has constructed another body, another space, another world, and perhaps another relationship with gravity. Inside the dream, Newton has not actually been defeated. Your physical body remains obediently lying on the mattress. Gravity is doing exactly what gravity has always done. But your experienced body is somewhere else, which raises an extraordinary possibility. Could an ancient yogic description of levitation have referred to this kind of transformation? Not physical flight, but a flight in the dreamscape. Tibetan Buddhism contains sophisticated traditions dealing directly with dreaming. Dream yoga teaches practitioners to recognize the dream while still inside it. Once lucidity emerges, the practitioner experiments with reality. Become larger, become smaller, walk through a wall, transform an object, fly. The purpose isn't entertainment, it is philosophical training. The dream becomes a laboratory, a demonstration that experience can appear absolutely convincing without being absolutely solid. And that brings us back to the yogi. Imagine years of training, breathing regulated, mantra repeated, attention narrowed, movement synchronized, ordinary thought becoming quieter and quieter. Eventually, the practitioner's ordinary body map may begin to loosen. The boundary between waking imagery and dream imagery may soften. Weight becomes strange, distance becomes strange, time becomes strange, and then the body feels light. 4,000 miles away from Tibet, another revolution was occurring. Albert Einstein was changing humanity's understanding of gravity. Einstein showed us something deeply counterintuitive. Imagine an elevator falling freely towards Earth. Inside that elevator, you float. A ball released from your hand floats beside you. Your feet leave the floor. For a moment, you experience weightlessness, yet gravity has not disappeared. In fact, gravity is precisely why you're falling. This gives us an important distinction. Gravity and the experience of weight are not identical. Einstein was describing physics. The Tibetan yogi was exploring consciousness. They are not the same claim, but together they reveal something fascinating. The experience of being heavy is not gravity itself. Now imagine something simpler. A master emerges from meditation. His student asks what happened. The master struggles to describe it. He says, "My body disappeared. I became light, lighter than air. The earth released me. I rose." Not necessarily because his physical body moved, but because language was attempting to describe an experience for which ordinary language was inadequate. One generation repeats the story, then another. The master felt as if he had risen. Becomes the master rose, and eventually the master levitated. An inner experience becomes an outer miracle. Not necessarily through deception, but through mythology. So perhaps the legendary Tibetan levitator never violated gravity at all. Perhaps he did something stranger. He temporarily changed the location from which reality was being experienced. His body remained seated. His nervous system remained inside gravity, but consciousness entered a state in which ground, weight, distance, and ordinary time ceased to dominate experience. The monk didn't leave the earth. For a moment, the earth left the monk. And perhaps that is the deeper esoteric lesson. We have spent centuries asking, can the human body defeat gravity? Maybe the yogis were asking something entirely different. Can consciousness discover that it is more than the sensation of being a heavy body attached to the ground? The physicist studies gravity. The neuroscientist studies perception. The yogis studies the one experiencing both. And somewhere between them, a legend called levitation was born. So the next time you hear that an ancient monk learned to fly, consider another possibility. Perhaps he never rose even 1 inch. Perhaps he simply entered a world where rising was no longer necessary. Because the greatest escape from gravity was never what happened in space. It may have happened inside the mind. More than 2,000 years ago, in the Vedic texts, there was an extraordinary observation about dreams. There are no roads there, yet the dreamer creates roads. There are no rivers, yet the dreamer creates rivers. And then comes a remarkable conclusion. Sa hi karta. He is the maker. Perhaps the yogi's levitator wasn't making his physical body float. Perhaps consciousness was making a body capable of flight. The monk did not defeat gravity. The dreamer created a world in which gravity no longer defied his body.